So let's talk about the Western Conference and let's talk about the number one seed, Oklahoma City Thunder. I almost called them the Seattle Supersonics because maybe that's wishful thinking on my part, but the number one seed Oklahoma City Thunder with still a perennial bag in regards to future picks and assets are now the one seed in the much more difficult Western Conference. They most likely have the MVP, despite it should be Jokic, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. Maybe we'll talk about it. I don't fucking know. Who cares? It's our podcast. We can talk about whatever comes up. But if you're the Thunder, Mike, I'm going to start with you. If you're the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you're looking at the play-ins, you got three teams that might potentially come out: the Kings, the Mavericks, and the Grizzlies. Who do you want to see if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder? And then I'm going to save the who don't you want to see for the next question. So ideal situation, who do you want to see coming out of this play-in tournament if you're the number one seed in the West?
Yeah, if you're the Thunder or a fan of the Thunder, if the answer to this question is not the Grizzlies, I don't know what you're talking about, especially with the latest developments of Ja Morant. What it appeared to be, he really hurt his ankle in that playing game against the Warriors. I think he had 18 points in the first three quarters, and after that, he comes back and he scores 4 or 6 more. He looks bad. He looks banged up, and that's the team that you want in terms of OKC, because OKC can play fast. They're disciplined, and if you have to go against a team where their number one is at 50%, I mean, how could you argue against that? So if I were them, I want to play the Grizzlies.
I'd probably say the same thing, to be totally honest with you. It is sort of the obvious answer, especially after that. I wouldn't call it, I mean, it was a good game. I wouldn't call it a woeful performance from the Grizzlies against the Warriors. I think it was a really good game for getting everybody excited about the playoffs. Just to have a brief Ja Morant conversation with you, like very brief, we have a lot of stuff to get through, but we've now had this guy in the league since 2018. We've declared him on this podcast. I mean, maybe there was dissenting voices, but we kind of came to an agreement, I'd say probably 2 or 3 years ago, that he was the best point guard in the NBA, pure point guard in the NBA. He's got a bag of tools. He's got the ability to score. He's rangy. He's the right size. He's got everything you would want in a point guard, and yet all the conversations around him and his potential trade value coming into this offseason, the fact that that's even a conversation, and secondly, does anybody really want him because of obvious off-the-court issues and a sort of smacking your head against the wall, sort of nonstop, flaunting. I mean, he was taunting a ref mid-game, which I half like when it's happening because it's entertaining, but man, if he was on your team, you'd be smashing your head against the wall, right? And also you'd be mad because you live in Memphis. So with all those contributing factors, what is next for Ja Morant? Is he going to be a sort of a cautionary tale at this point? That question's back at you, Mike. It's back at you.
I mean, yes, but it just wouldn't surprise me if somehow he ends up on the Lakers next year.
Yeah, and then he just reforms and he's awesome.
Yes.
He's like, now I'm on my best behavior.
If LeBron wants him, LeBron will get him.
Yeah, they keep getting away with ludicrous things. I mean, he's not wrong.
I mean, they just got Luka and they didn't have to trade away Reeves.
That's insane. That's not.
Yeah, that's
right.
outrageous.
And as a team, listen, you fucked around, was right about the Porzingis shit, so I can't say much, but that's fucking wild. That's wild. I'll chime in on that. That would be insane. If anything, the team that's across the freeway or wherever their building is at now, at the Intuit Dome, the Clippers, maybe they go look at someone like him, to bring him to LA if that was the case. But
it's not just across the freeway. It takes like 9 hours to get anywhere in Los Angeles.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
They might as well be in different cities at this point.
Gotcha. Yeah, cool. Like that, right? So you know what I'm saying? Something like that. That would be crazy. But no, I don't think, to answer your question, Dave, I don't think that he becomes a cautionary tale. I think that it's like from a few years ago when he had the issues that came off the court on social media. Because a lot of people was like, oh, like, what's the big deal? Like, he wasn't, it wasn't loaded. It was, he wasn't on the court or whatever. And, I think the conversation that we had centered around that then wasn't something that we were trying to, race bait or make it racially motivated. But it's more of like, look, you are, regardless of how you feel about it or not, you are a role model for the next generation. So because you are an individual brand in the NBA, right? You're basically a Fortune 500 company. You have to move a certain way regardless of what you think something is stupid, whether you think it's mundane, whatever word you want to use, you have to move a certain way, regardless of what you look like, regardless of your background. And yes, is there favoritism shown in certain athletes? Absolutely. That's not debatable. But if you already know that you've been put in certain positions mainly because it was self-inflicted, you need to surround yourself with people that are not going to be yes men and saying, hey, be mindful of X, Y, and Z because it's costing you money.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, everyone's not going to win a ring, but everyone can get paid. So get your money, build your Hall of Fame status, and then your legacy is cemented. That should be the goal. Build your career, and then keep building your legacy for your family. That should be the goal. Nothing more, nothing less.
It's a very mature and it's a very good perspective. It's probably the correct perspective. Just to speak on the race baiting point, we often try to on this podcast, but because we have a black guy, he never lets us. So we just try to keep it 100 with everybody. But as much as we are always putting the idea in. Ray's always like, no. Drat, there goes our fun. But I have to say, Bobby, do you want to zag with me on this? Should we talk about how like the NBA and the NFL and the MLB and the NHL are all incredibly sterilized these days because these athletes are getting media training at like 16? And Ja Morant's actually the funnest athlete we have right now because it's like it's 2003 again, and like Ron Artest might do some crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like they're like, we're so hyper-focused on Ja Morant because there used to be fucking 30 of him. And now everybody's media training. Like, to Ray's point, he's very, very correct about this. There's probably 100 people at least in the Ja Morant business. There's 100 fucking bottom feeders in the Ja Morant business making money off his name, off his logo, off his brand, off his whole thing, right? That wasn't the case back then. So it was just you and you know, whatever you did was between you and your God to sort out. So you didn't have 6 PR companies calling you every time you made a stupid video on YouTube. Is Ja Morant actually the last of a dying breed, Bob?
Yes, he is. I mean, you saw the fact that he actually pulled out more guns, not actual guns, but finger guns on the court twice. He got fined, and then
he threw a grenade at one point. Was that him?
And then he did it again. And then he did it again. He just doesn't care.
I love it. Well, honestly, I think I love it.
I'd be shocked if the Grizzlies actually traded him. And to be honest, I think if they do, I think they end up getting more than what the Mavericks got for Luke, because they actually would shop Ja Morant,
right,
and get a good return for him. Because if you trade Ja Morant,
I'm pretty sure I could get more than the Mavericks got for Luka if I just like sell some clothes at like the local thrift store. But yes.
No, that trade would not be allowed at NBA 2K. So
no,
that's how like that's the fucking bar.
Yeah.
And also like I agree with Dave, like Ja Morant, like there used to be a ton of that, but like, bro, you went to private school. Like just be that guy.
He hit him with the real name Clarence. Oh no.
make your money in championships and just keep your guns off camera. That's literally all you have to do.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, that's exactly, and that's to me that's what has to be.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are obviously correct from like Ja Morant's perspective, but I'm talking about me and Bobby just trying to like have fun over here.
Well, no,
I do have a dumb friend named Cheddar Bob who shoot himself in his leg with his own gun.
Right.
You know what I mean?
let me be clear. Am I entertained by it? Absolutely, I'm absolutely entertained by it. But just to give that other perspective is like, no, like you have to be mindful. So of course, as the fan, I don't care that you are here, fire in the hole. That's great. But if the fire in the hole is costing you money, that's dumb.
Yeah, you got to stay paid. You got to stay paid. It's one of the rules.
Right, and if you're ruining your image, knowingly or not knowingly, like just get it together in that regard. But one last trade scenario that we could jump into the next series. But
I love that the Thunder series became a conversation about Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. I mean, let's keep it going.
Is there any other option?
One seeds are boring. I agree.
But the Kings and the Mavericks. Once again, thanks for coming. But come on, like they're not someone that you even think would even get a game if they play OKC. Sacramento can score. Obviously,
neither the Grizzlies though. If we're being really honest, like
without Ja Morant,
if John's healthy, I think they get one. Maybe 2.
No, but even with
optimistically.
But to me, I think Memphis was the right answer whether Ja was healthy or not. And the reason why I say that is and this has been the thing for the longest time. Like even you go through the era. So even when they had like the Paul Gasols, the Mike Millers, the Jason Williams, and then went to the Grindhouse era with Tony Allen and
Tony
Mike Conley.
Allen. Oh my God, the second
No,
coming of Tony Allen. No Celtics fan hated that career comeback. We were all so
right.
happy for him because we
Yeah.
were kind of sucking. So it was like great.
Well, right, exactly. So you have those different eras of Memphis basketball. They've never been a team that can take it up another notch offensively, right? They've kind of branded themselves as that grit and grind basketball. And yes, Jaren Jackson's taken a leap. Desmond Bane has taken a leap. Aldana has taken a leap. So they have guys there that can contribute to winning basketball, but they need another guy consistently that can get them 15 to 18 a night. And they don't always have that. So that's why they become limited in the playoffs, is because it is Ja or bust, or sometimes Jaren Jackson or bust. And Jaren Jackson sometimes fades into the night, quietly offensively. So defensively, he's always there, but you need him to be able to get buckets on the offensive end. So to me, Memphis should have been the answer regardless, because once again, Dallas is not formidable without a healthy Kyrie or AD. And then, Sacramento, after them firing Mike Brown, earlier in the year, to me, kind of lost their identity. And, they haven't been the same, since. So either way, obviously OKC was coming out of the first round, but like I said, Memphis to me should be the team. And like Bobby said, if Ja was fully healthy or even at 80%, Memphis gets one just out of respect, because Ja's that good to get you a game at two, maybe two at the most. But either way, they'll be in Cancun, by the end of April.
Do you ever get the feeling with the Grizzlies of the world? I was just thinking about it while you were talking about sort of the concept of teams that we don't really have any acrimony with, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, I remember good eras from that team. I remember enjoying watching their basketball. I remember being involved and being with it. Do you think that that always leads my thinking immediately to I think we have too many teams and I think we play too many games. I just think that the product can be improved if, when you look at what you're talking about when you're describing what Ja Morant needs around him, you're describing the current Detroit Pistons. You're describing exactly their roster, but because there's so many guys, and the league is deep. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of really good players on a lot of different teams, but you can see these teams get built, and there's a lot of I'm 1 away, I'm 2 away, I'm 3 away, and then miraculously the Celtics can become absolutely stacked, and the Thunder can have 500,000 picks in the next 5 years. But there's these teams in these small markets that I think are smaller markets, I should say. Not to really discredit the Detroit market. I think that's still a good basketball market, but there's these teams where they're kind of getting leached from underneath from teams that nobody cares about, your Pelicans. You know what I mean? These teams where you could spread talent around from these franchises that nobody gives a fuck about, and then you could just have more stacked teams. I know that presents less opportunities for guys, but I just think it's we're gonna come into this conceptual concept over the next few weeks in the playoffs when we realize how much better the best 4 team, I'd say best 3 teams are than everybody else in the playoffs, and everyone's gonna be like, well, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So.
We find that out every year.
Right.
And it's just we go through this thing of there's not enough parity, and it's always this team, which is why they try to do the CBA the way they do it, so that they continue to promote the parity. But it's at the end of the day, there's only one team that wins it, right?
Yeah.
And there's only 4 to 5 teams that have a legit shot to actually win. So when you're saying that, we need Memphis to be better, or we need we need Detroit to be better, or we need Sacramento to be better. In theory, business wise, sure, you want that to happen, to have
but entertainment value wise too, just from our perspective.
And it's right, but it's just you're not getting those teams realistically aren't winning a championship, and you have to understand that. And it's it's okay. And once again, and where I'm going with this guy. I always say this. I say it in baseball. I say it in football. Sports in general is better when the big market teams are dominating, period. So whether that's Boston, New York, Chicago, LA, Atlanta,
just the Luka trade feels like insider trading for the fucking NBA, dude. For that reason, because where they've put I know this has been said, but where they've put the Lakers as far as their estimations coming into the playoffs, and we'll talk about this in a little bit when we get to that series. That's a scary proposition where it's basically like that means that there's no world in which that we're ever going to make the small market teams a viable source of like consistent championship runs, which is just like, now we're talking about the show you guys just recorded. We're doing WWE at that point, right? Like I want it to be I don't want it to be an opera. I do enjoy the highs and the lows, but I also want the smaller, pluckier teams. I mean, I even consider like the kind of B tier that, like where are those teams right now? Where are your Miamis and Philadelphias? Like where are those guys?
I mean, so injuries obviously play a part, right?
Sure.
So we can joke about Philadelphia, but let's be real. If Maxey, Paul George, and Embiid are healthy, they're obviously in the playoffs. Once again, I don't think they'd win it, but they're obviously in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, but the if Embiid is healthy question is such a huge chasm.
No, right. But Paul George has been healthy the last few years in LA.
We've been
what I'm saying? So it's just, I don't know.
Paul George has also been.
We've been asking if Embiid is healthy for what, 4 years now?
Well, I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's over. That ship has sailed.
When he was healthy 2 years ago, he became MVP. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like that. That's what I'm saying. Like when he
bullshit MVP though. It was absolutely fraudulent.
I'm saying, but when he played enough games, I'm saying like he was allowed to be in that conversation. Is what I'm saying. Like obviously, if you're missing,
yes, I agree. Hypothetical Embiid is amazing. We're I mean, there was a lot of conversations around hypothetical Derrick Rose too, and I participated in them.
Yeah. No, I mean hypothetical or not, we've seen him on the court dominate. Like he's that good. It's just like say, we just don't see it enough, and that's on him. I mean, I'm saying not our problem. I heard someone say that Ja Morant's becoming the guard version of Joel, and I was like, yikes! That
connection to the last topic. Wow, nicely done. Really nicely weaved.
Yeah. So it's like we'll see what happens, but. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just here for big markets to dominate, and I don't care how people feel about that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, I think that's okay. Let me get this fucking train back on the tracks here. So, we were talking about the Thunder. We were talking about the number 1 seed playing one of 3 possible teams. We'll know more about that matchup, and we'll talk more about that matchup next week when we that has been established and we've seen it. But let me get predictions of this series. The Thunder in blank against the Grizzlies, the Kings, and the Mavericks. Give me all 3 of them. So, Bobby, I'll start with you.
Thunder sweep against. It's probably going to be the Grizzlies.
Got it. You think either of those other teams take them to more than 4 games?
No. I think this is a sweep no matter what. Those 3 teams, it's a sweep.
Thunder in 4 in their first round is the prediction from Bobby. Any dissenting opinions?
I got Thunder in 5 against.
Yeah, that's the same.
Gentlemen sweep.
Yeah, some safety hedging from the second row. Love that. And then we pile on the stock and the stock goes up. So that's a little conversation we just had about the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm excited to get to this next conversation actually because I actually do want to talk about the team in this segment, unlike we just did for the Thunder, because they're weirdly boring. No, they're going to be fun to watch. Like, don't get me wrong, but like the Thunder have been talked to death across the course of the season.